All right. Hey, we made it. We have 2 days left and we're going to rock this out. And we are so lucky to have our social workers bringing us this week's instructional strategies to think about is some SEL tips for us as we walk into this winter break and holiday season. So enjoy. Okay, well, we are so lucky to have our workers with us today. So we have Miss Colleen Porritt and Sandy Lopez and Vinny B.
Yeah, say B.
And so we are going to be talking through a few different pieces of SEL supports for students as we move into this holiday or to the holidays and also the break. What should staff keep in mind about breaks when supporting students, either before break or after?
I guess the first thing that comes to mind is not everybody celebrates Christmas. There are different holidays. Not everyone celebrates any holidays during breaks. I guess what I add?
I would say everyone's break probably looks very different. You have your own perspective, and sometimes we tend to project that out a little bit, and we think like what we're doing is not probably what everyone's break looks like. And something I sometimes forget, just working in a school, and for as long as I have, we pretty much have 2 weeks off, and so many of our parents don't have certainly don't have that kind of time off. Some of them don't really have much of any time at all. Sometimes they get Christmas Day. They might be lucky to get like New Year's Day, and that really might be it. So sometimes when we're thinking all these activities, maybe if we have children, like things we're doing with our children, doesn't mean our families have the time and are doing this with their children. Like everyone's household situation looks very different, and when we're all surrounded in our culture of teachers, some of us think this is kind of what most of our breaks look like, but a lot of our families, their breaks can look very different. Just even time-wise, who's in their home each day, their parent might not be there.
I think the holidays is a time of need, or when students realize what they might have or don't have compared to their peers. So they might not have a parent at home because they have to work during the holidays. They might not get gifts, or food might be short or tight. So this could be a stressful time for some of our students.
All right, thank you. Do you have?
Yeah, just like adding on that, like having that stressful time for the students, especially if they're the only child in the house and the parents don't have any like extra like help, like where's that like food coming from, like the watching. So let's definitely be like mindful of not everyone might have like the best time during break.
Yeah. Go ahead and start talking about traditions and how those might look different for students.
One of the things I would say that kind of surprises me sometimes when I have these conversations, like specifically a few weeks ago I did with my WIN group, and we were kind of asking them like Thanksgiving, like, oh, like traditionally, what are you doing for Thanksgiving? And I was really surprised how many of my kids looked at me like, what tradition? And I was like, oh, well, maybe I need to break down the word. What does tradition mean? What does it look like? And some of them seemed a little lost. And I'm like, well, this is what tradition looks like at my family and what I typically do. What about you guys? And then I was kind of taken aback a little bit. Some of my kiddos are like, there's no traditional meal per se, and it certainly did not involve a turkey. And then some of my students are like, well, my dad usually works. I don't think he's off on Thursday type of thing. And I was like, oh, okay. So then just kind of remembering and recognizing just what I do in my home and with my friends or family doesn't mean that's what a lot of our students necessarily are doing. So like sometimes tradition, I don't know if it's a societal thing maybe even, but some traditions are just looking very different these days, and they're not like the same as mine always.
Yes, I'm remembering that our students celebrate different holidays. Is it Hanukkah? Is it Christmas? Is it no holidays? So just keeping that in mind, how every tradition and holiday could be different. And then culturally, how does that family celebrate it? Is it Christmas Eve at midnight? Is it Christmas morning? Different cultures do it differently as well.
And something like Hanukkah has already come and gone this year. Like that's already been celebrated. If some of our families are celebrating that, it kind of already happened.
And something to keep in mind is that students that don't celebrate Christmas might feel excluded or feel different, since it seems like most people celebrate Christmas. So how that makes a student feel individually.
I think it just kind of goes sometimes just kind of watching our language a little bit sometimes, because there's a variety of holidays throughout the entire year, and some that maybe we're familiar with and some we're just not aware of. And so it's always interesting to learn and hear about those different things from some of our students. But like when you come back from break, and I found even myself with my group sometimes, like, oh, what'd you get for Christmas? Yes, plenty of kids in the group might share something. And then some kids are like, oh, I don't celebrate Christmas, or we didn't really do much or whatever. So sometimes as we come back from break, just phrasing or picking up sometimes the cues your kids are giving off. And you might adjust your wording. And sometimes what I find myself doing, well, what was a highlight over break? Or what was one of your favorite memories over break? Or did you see someone that you don't normally see? Because sometimes as I'm answering these questions and kids aren't jumping in or reacting, I'm like, okay, I need to rephrase. I need to come at it differently. I need to ask them a different question. Was there something particular that was really funny over break? And then sometimes I'm still not getting to, and I might just be like, well, did you get to stay up late? Did you sleep in? Because people's break can look really different than, just what we're doing and what we're used to. And something to keep in mind, like, they so used to routine and schedule and coming and hanging out with us. Our students are so good about asking and seeking help from teachers, from any of the staff in the building. And sometimes over break, we don't know if they're parent or they're home on their own. We just don't know what they're doing during the day, and who are they getting that feedback from. And if a situation or a problem comes up, like, who did they process with? Who was there with them that day? Are their friends on social media with them? Are their friends out of town? Are they seeing some of their friends? What kind of interaction are they even having during the day? Because I'm sure a few of our kids are probably home by themselves all day and waiting for that parent to come home after work, which could be later in the evening.
Okay, is there anything else that teachers can and staff can think about as we are supporting students before break or after?
One thing that comes to mind is, well, some of our students could be caregivers for their younger siblings, or there could be a lot of trauma going on at home. There could be fighting, there could be neglect or abuse. One thing I recommend is doing maybe an individual activity, since teachers are the first to see some of these students, and it might not be students that the social workers or the counselors see. So maybe they can write down, like, what was the highlight? Is there anything they want to talk about that happened during break? Anything they want to process? If they're alone and experience something, they might not have that person to talk to. So teachers will probably be the first person to be there.
And we were talking about some of the struggles that maybe some of our families might be dealing with, whether it was like food and their snacks and their dinner and their independence, and they might be home alone. Like, that's why it's so appreciative when everyone comes together this time of year and we do our Operation Holiday Help, and you guys are always so generous year in and year out, giving the gas cards, giving the household cleaning supplies. I know some people are like, why am I giving Windex? Well, some of our families, like, that's what they're struggling with, and sometimes the kids are at home and they're the ones that are cleaning, and we're just getting them supplies and things that they need. The snack packs, like, some of our kids don't have a whole lot of food coming their way. So many of our kids rely on their breakfast and lunch here at school, and that's why the things like providing the snack pack are so important. And again, the staff always comes through and gives these things. And again, the gift cards. I would say, I remember particularly last year, I had given something specific for one of my students, and I was kind of surprised when the next day my student was wearing it. And I stepped back a moment. I'm like, what? He's wearing it already? Like, it's not even Christmas or any like type of particular holiday that came up just yet, and he's wearing it. But I had to kind of laugh and chuckle. One, it's a gift. So when we give gift cards, there's no control over what anyone's buying with it. So you are gracious enough to offer it, and then we just don't judge what they do with it. And this kiddo's wearing that outfit I gave him because the kiddo really needed the outfit I gave him. And so I just actually, more than anything, just enjoyed seeing him wearing something that I gave him. And of course, he has absolutely no idea, but it just gave me that good feeling when he had it. And that's why I'm so appreciative every year when you guys do help out. And I know no one likes to buy socks and underwear and some of these things, but some of the reasons that these items are on our tree is because when the parent has a couple extra bucks over the season and the holidays, maybe they want to be the one to buy the fun little treat for their student, their child, and they don't have to worry about like the socks. They don't have to worry about the Windex. They can use their money for the more fun thing that they wanted to get their child.
I don't organize Operation Christmas here, but I have in other schools, and so many times parents said, if it wasn't for this, we would have nothing.
Yeah.
So that does mean a lot. And Port does a lot of work. So
Yes,
Oh.
yes,
thank
yes.
you,
But it's
Port.
only
Yes.
because of your generosity. So I
Yes.
wouldn't have any work to do if you guys weren't so
Yep.
giving. So always thank you.
Yeah. Oh, well, thank you so much for your time. We so appreciate you always. And thank you for your tips for us too.
Thanks
So
for
thank
interviewing
you.
us. We feel